Hey, live streaming is the future. You don't got to listen to me. Listen to Alex Hormozi as he had a conversation with Mr. Beast, and they talked about why live streaming right now is about to take off, and you need to learn it. Check this out.
I had a conversation with a mega influencer. I don't think you would mind, with Mr. Beast a few weeks ago, and we were talking about kind of like the future of media and content. And so one of the things that he was just talking about was the soccer game that came up that they do like UK versus US. And I've never watched the game, but you might have seen some like YouTube videos about it. So what ends up happening is that they have all these different celebrities or influencers from different platforms, right? And so starting from the lowest, I'm gonna use my little drawing again. The lowest people on this little totem pole, they would walk out in the stadium, and this became the kind of the de facto like measuring stick for who had the most cool points, right? These are the A-listers, okay? And so this is your typical kind of celebs from like movies and like 90s and the 2000s or whatever, right? People like they recognize because they're celebs, but like they don't have like huge, I guess they have some media presence, but it's more like traditional media. The level of applause for these guys was almost nothing. Barely anyone cared. So then the next level that came up was the shorts creators. So this is your like only TikTokers or people who only make reels, but like only short videos, okay? And so they had a little bit more applause on the applausometer compared to the A-listers. Then, then the long form guys came out. And this is when the audience got way rowdier. All right, so this is your podcasters, your YouTubers, the people who make long form pieces of content. And I'm going to pause here for a second to kind of like highlight why I think this is. So I don't think there's anything wrong with shorts. We make tons of shorts. But I see the purpose of shorts as many times a way to get someone to watch along, right? They watch a couple shorts and then think, okay, this guy seems legit or this gal seems legit. I'm going to risk my time because that's the risk. They're making an investment, right? You're making an investment today. I'm going to risk that I'm going to get a good return on this, right? And so shorts then lead to longs. But let me show you the difference from an influence perspective. How many reinforcing cycles do you think you can have in 30 seconds compared to 2 hours? It's like not even close, right? And so if someone watched 2 1-hour pieces of content from me, period, okay, 2 1-hour pieces, it's 120 minutes. For me to get that same level of exposure and kind of cycles of reinforcement with a prospect, right? And they were only consuming shorts, right? Let's say my average short, Michael, do you know what my average short is lengthwise? 15 seconds? Let's say 15 for math's sake. Okay, so let's say it's 15 seconds. So that means it's 4 shorts per minute. So if I have 120 minutes for longs, someone would have to watch 480 shorts to have the same level of exposure as watching 2 hours with me. And think about how important this is. Like, what were the things that people said, like, this was the, quote, podcast election, right? This one that just happened. Trump went on, and I don't care about the politics behind it, but I do care about influence and persuasion. And so, like, why is it that I think, my opinion, the 2 podcasts that I think really nudged this election, my opinion, is the Trump 3-hour plus podcast that he did with Rogan like a week or whatever it was before November. Is it November 4th? I think it's November 4th. 11th? November 11th? You guys already know. I'm sure someone in the comments can correct me. Okay? I think that was a huge influential event. And I think Elon getting on Tucker Carlson and doing that interview. I think those 2 interviews were some of the interviews that really nudged the election. And again, I don't care who you voted for. It doesn't matter to me. I think about this from marketing persuasion, okay? And so because of that, audiences who were not sure got to spend 3 hours with a presidential candidate, and as a result, it just nudged some of them in the direction to ultimately vote, okay? Now, back to our little story. So, A-listers have almost no applause, shorts have slight applause, longs have legit applause. Then, the live streamers. When the live streamers came out, it was like the entire auditorium or stadium or arena erupted. And when I heard that, it was such a visual example of just like, I mean, we have this saying, which is like butts and seats, right? Like, if you like some of you guys who are watching this have some level of following, or you make some sort of content, whatever. And some guys who don't, like, you might as well get started, right? But if you just make a bunch of like meme content, right? you demonstrate almost none of these things, right? You demonstrate no status. You give no people any directions on what to do, so they get no positive results as a result in their life as it relates to whatever domain they care about. You're not demonstrating any kind of credibility. And maybe you have some element of likeness. That one you might have. Some element of likeness that might come from a meme sort of content, right? And so what happens is some of you guys are chasing views when what I think you want is you want to have prospects who are more likely to comply with a future request, right? And so we need to change our behavior to maximize the likelihood that occurs, right? And so in looking at this thing, this is why I'm telling you, like showing my cards, I'm going to be doing more live streams. And I think it's also, and this is me like outside of SPCL, but I think like meta themes overall, is that I think that the internet will always move towards truth. And so I think the A-listers, everything's super curated, everything's super polished, it's photoshopped, it's scripted, right? And as you move closer this way, it's rawer. Like you have a 3-hour podcast, like they're not scripted, right? Or most of them aren't, right? Streaming, it's like, yeah, we're live, right? I can't do anything, like we're live. And so this idea of how can we approximate the rawest reality of us hanging out, right? And actually going through this stuff, I think that is what will unlock the most influence, as long as you are still including these SPCL elements into it. And I think that's the marriage, right? How do I do SPCL and do it as many times as I possibly can? That's the idea. And so live streaming provides that opportunity. Now, let's also think about this from a context of volume, right? So whether you like him or not, Rogan, tremendous influence, right? To the same degree, PBD, tremendous influence. Dave Ramsey, tremendous influence. What is it that these guys have in common, right? What is it they have in common? They're putting out hours of content every single day. So you guys want to hear something a little bit mind-blowing? So I said earlier that we had 35,000 pieces of content, right? Now, I hear plenty of times, there's tons of $1 million businesses, $2 million businesses, things like that. They put out one piece of content a day, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. That's 365 pieces of content a year. And if you think about the size of acquisition.com in terms of our revenue, right, compared to somebody who's doing $1 or $2 million a year, and they're doing 365 pieces of content, we're just quite literally doing 100 times more. That's it. Like we're literally just doing 100 times the volume. And as a result of that 100 times the volume, what do you think's happening? We get 100 times the prospects. And so a lot of like people want to try and like outsmart themselves and thinking that they can like not do the work that's required, but it's actually far more linear than you would expect. So like we just know that like 1 out of 10 shorts is going to go is going to be a 2 or 3x outlier. We just know what that math looks like. Same thing for longs, right? And so it's like, how do I just jam as much into that input output machine as I possibly can? And as long as I'm checking these boxes, like I'm making the right kind of content, then you're going to get the right kind of prospects. All right. So I'll give you one more nugget, and then I'll open up for discussion. And I love Dave, by the way. For those of you like Dave's a G. Dave's been doing like I don't care who you are, you have to respect that man's level of effort. Like he's been doing this for 40 years. 40 years. He's been putting out 3 hours a day of content. It's like I don't care what you think about him. Like the guy works and he's consistent. And the thing is, and he'll be the first to say, he's like, it's not like I'm Superman or I'm not like, some rocket scientist here. He's like, but the guy is consistent. And like, I'm telling you, like if you can unlock consistency, like you can become an incredibly dangerous competitor. It's wildly underestimated. And so for those of you who are like starting right now, like start, like start. You will not make less money by letting more people know about your stuff. Period. Full stop.
He said, start. You won't make less money, right? He's not a Superman. You just got to put out content. Now, you may not know how to do it to go live, and that's okay. That's where we come in at, right? We teach you the art of going live, and you can join us inside of our school community, Branding Like a Boss, where we're going to show you how to do that. So make sure you go ahead and join now. It is free at the moment. So come along, bring your friends, bring anyone who's ready to teach you and learn how to do the art of going live so that you can brand yourself like a boss. Check out that link. Come do it now.
Brand like a boss. Brand like a boss.